Hello. Just give me 1 second. So,
Hello. Hi, everyone.
hello.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Perfect. Then I will turn the webcam in 1 second. Just give me one. I'm setting up a new microphone. Hello, everyone. Everybody. We are gonna wait, for 5 more minutes until everybody gets in. Hello, Tristan. Hello, Sif.
Hello. Hello, Eduardo. Good
Hi.
morning.
Close this one.
It's getting so dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a grow light for my plants. I have to turn it on in my room just to feel some daylight.
Oh, that's actually good. Yeah, I was surprised yesterday that I was here and then it's like at 5 and then it's pitch black and okay, that's new.
Yeah, winter.
Yeah.
This is Webflow. Meet the design tool.
That never happened.
Ad block, man.
Hello, Hassan. Hello, Lee. We're 29. Perfect. Let's wait a couple of more minutes until everybody's here. Let me close the email app just in case. Let me close this one as well. Hello, Mega. So,
Hi, Edu.
hello, Mega.
I have a question actually.
Yeah,
Why
yeah.
should we file by name H index only all the time?
Yes, something I think I mentioned it, but I will do it again. Don't worry. Is that index.html is the equivalent of main.java? Is the entry point for your computer to know which files should open first. Because imagine that you have 3 or 4 files inside your web page, and you want to appear first, but the machine doesn't know which one you want to make it first. So you need to tell the machine, okay, these files is they're gonna be the first one to be open, and you do that. You do that by writing the name index.html.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And I think that we're almost I think we're everybody. We have more than enough people. We're more than 35. So let's get started. Let me share the screen very quick. And I'm gonna share desktop number 1, if I recall correctly. Okay. Let me see. Oh wait, I need to share desktop number 2. Just give me 1 second. Sure. Desktop number 2. Perfect. Perfect. So you can see the slides as full screen, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
So welcome to the. Oh wait, we start with a mistake. Yay! There you go. So welcome to Front-End Development Part 2, CSS instead of Part 1. We are gonna cover these following topics. Yes, there is a lot of ground to cover, so it's okay if we actually need to cover other topics in the next day. We have enough days of buffer, and as I mentioned before in the first HTML class, thanks to Kevena taking the fun part of JavaScript, we have 2 days from left over, so we can actually extend ourselves 2 days more if we need to. But let's do a quick overview of this table of contents. First, an introduction in case that you don't know anything at all from CSS. We are going to start from zero, explaining what it means actually these letters. But basically, remember, CSS is the way to control the design of your HTML page. So we go to the topic number 2. That is, okay, if we know that CSS is for controlling the design, how do we connect these CSS files to the HTML file? Once we manage to do a successful connection, we want to start controlling or changing the design. And we do it by controlling the HTML tags that we learned yesterday. Then we're going to do a quick overview about role hierarchy, because when you start writing more code, CSS code, you will start seeing some problems that you want to do something that you're expecting to change something. For example, I want to change the color of a text to red, and it doesn't happen, and you think that the machine is broken. No, there is probably some common mistakes that you're making, and we're gonna list the most frequent one. And this one has a particular slide that I'm gonna add more content during these 2 weeks, because as soon as I find that somebody has a problem, I will, of course, without telling who actually had the problem, I will add that particular problem in the list and write the solution how to solve it for future reference. Then in the second half, we're gonna see responsive design. And yes, this is something important. We're gonna start by going with how to make a responsive design, even before going into full depth of how to do all the kind of layout changes and design changes that are point 6 and 7. The reason being is that we need to start learning, and this is important, the sooner the better, is that right now if you open the Google Analytics page of any website, more than 60% of the users come from mobile. So we need to actually understand that we need to design first for this mobile cell phone instead of the computer. I know that we are using a computer to design a file, so we think, or it's not that we think, but we are so comfortable using our own computer or laptop every single day that we are used to design to make the web page look perfect in our own computer, but that's not the real how the real world works. We need to make the design work on the most used device that is a cell phone. So we need to learn how to do that, and that's why we're going to start first with this topic before we actually start going into depth in how to position elements on the screen in point number 6, and then how to actually add the design choices that are the most common used ones in point number 7, and point number 8 is about how to manage your CSS files, because as you can see, we have a lot of topics to cover from point number 2 to point number 7. That means that we're going to write a lot of code today, and that also means that it's going to get disorganized real quickly. So we really need to give just one point to focus on how to organize files. With all that in mind, let's get started. So first of all, what is CSS? Well, CSS stands for Cascade Styling Sheets. What it means about cascades? Well, think about a waterfall. We're talking about you write a code from top to bottom, and the machine will follow each rule or each line of code that you to apply to render your elements on the screen. That doesn't means a lot, but when we are starting to write some code, you will see how useful it is. So basically, a CSS files allows you to take a simple HTML file like the one on the left and apply graphic design just like the one you see on the right. It's the same document, it's the same information, but the document on the right is more visually appealing. It actually uses the screen space much better because it allows you to use for example, allow to use the white space or the space in the window to put a 3-color design, allows you to highlight your titles a little bit better, allows you to change color, allows to play with the image and make it appear in the same line that the name. All these kinds of features that are layout. By layout, I mean positioning elements on the screen, and styling choices, that is only a fancy word for design choices. That, for example, I want to add a black border around my image and make my image round, and so on and so forth. So these are the two main topics: layout, positioning elements on the screen, and styling choices that are basically design choices. All thanks to a single additional file called the CSS file. Well, now that we know a little bit about what is the CSS file, CSS, we can focus on how to connect a CSS file to a HTML file. We did a quick overview yesterday because, to be honest, HTML and CSS are so intertwined that I cannot imagine teaching them totally by separate. So we saw a little bit about how to connect files yesterday, but we're going to go into depth today. So basically, we have two ways. On the left is what we call the style tag that is positioned on the head. Basically, it's a tag that allows you to write CSS code directly. Don't worry right now about the syntaxes of the CSS code. We're going to go into detail of that later. I just want to focus on the left. Inside the blue tags, there is a piece of code that actually wants to make a text go red. And on the right is the correct way. Inside the head tag, you can import an external file. And this is super important because we want to actually, just as you learn in individual project, we want to have each file or each class. Well, we don't have classes in CSS nor in HTML, but let's use the class analogies in Java. We want that every single Java class has one specific function. So we want to do the same in web design. We want the HTML file to contain only the role information. We want the CSS file to only contain the graphic design information. And then in the next days, we're gonna see how the JavaScript files will give you interaction and logic to to a particular website. So this
Can
is
I ask a question?
Yeah, sorry.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, of course.
Does all information for the web page that you would be looking at, right? Regardless of whether you can navigate through a website, just the one that you're seeing, is that all of that contained in one index.html file exclusively all the time?
Yeah, that's a good question. You can build a website with just one single page, or you can, or just like in the first project that we're gonna build a multi-site project where you actually will have multiple HTML files inside your project folder, and you will create hyperlinks. Remember, when I mean hyperlinks, it's not the tag link that you see on the screen right now, it's the A tag. So you will create hyperlinks to navigate between the pages inside your website.
But each individual page requires one HTML file.
Yeah, each page is one HTML file.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so you would never have a situation. You'd never have a situation where one page was on your screen, but that was being pulling information from two different HTML files.
React.
No, that used to happen actually in the old times when something called iframes, but that was so messy that we dropped that coding style many years ago.
Cool. Thank you.
So yeah, one page equals one HTML file. Perfect. So let's continue. And as I was telling you, the link tag allows you to import a CSS file for this particular HTML file. And now that we were talking about multi-page websites, we can also say that we can we can share the same design file across multiple pages, and that's how make it. And that's why the websites that you look, for example, CNN, and you enter the homepage of the CNN, and then you go to a particular news, you can see that the header is always the same. And hey, how the designer make the same? Did the designer make the same CSS twice? Of course not. They use this. They write a single graphic design file in the CSS file and share it across multiple web pages. And we're gonna see that later as well. Don't worry. So, without keep talking, let's build a quick example about these two features. I will share, let me see which screen I'm sharing right now. Let me go to this one. You can see Visual Studio Code, right? You can see Visual Studio Code, right, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah,
yes.
Because I'm playing with two monitors, so it's sometimes I forget that I need to move the window. And if you see me looking in the other way, I'm actually looking at the monitor, by the way. It's just that I have two monitors. Anyways, I have this particular, I created a small project yesterday with a couple of HTML files that you can see. So these are the topics that we're gonna cover today. For example, we were gonna have the shadows, only talk about shadows, and there is difference between the shadows in the background and in the text itself. We're gonna see the rule hierarchy. This media query is for responsive design, and this one is for controlling the HTML files. That is the topic that we're gonna cover in a couple of minutes, and this is the one that we are speaking right now. I'm gonna share this folder at the end of the lecture, so you can have the code samples of each topic that we are gonna cover today. So if we see this one, and let me put the screen side by side. And let me open this one with Safari. And Safari is in another monitor. 1 second. Perfect. So in this one, we have a sample web page called Connect CSS to HTML files. So this one has a title that says that this list is affected by an external file, and this one is affected by an internal file. So we are gonna delete all the design code because this is the one that we want to practice. I'm leaving the comments as a reference, and you can see that right now my web page become black and white, and the only color that you can see are the emojis. So let's start by creating an internal CSS file. We can use a style tag. And the style tags allows you to write CSS code. In this case, the code is gonna be, we're gonna target this one, the list with numbers. Remember, the list with numbers is the all L tag. So I'm gonna write all L tag, and I will tell that background color, for example, pink. I save, and you can see that the internal file become colored. And now I'm gonna say that the list items are also with a different color. How do I do that? This is the wrong way. First, just so you can see it. Background color, blue. I will save it. And you see the problem. The problem is that I just colored both lists, both the fruit list and the vegetables list. So how do I fix this one? And by the way, this is gonna be in rule hierarchy a couple of minutes later, but now that we are seeing the problem, I'm gonna fix it here as well. I want to tell the machine, hey, I only want to color the list inside the all L tag. So I write, to do that, I write all L again, and then I press one space, and then I tell, I want to affect only the LI tag. So I go like this. And then I will background color, and I will put red. And I only affect this one. So what is happening? Let's go here. You first have your all L tag here in line 41. And then on line 42, 3, and 4, you have three list items that are, belong to this all L tag. So basically, you're trying to say is this, right? The all L tag, imagine that you are going inside these ones. And that is what it's trying to say. Is the equivalent of, if we were writing a CSS like HTML, it will be something like that. Press enter and go inside and then write the tags. So this is what we're trying to imply. Go to the all L tag and then go, the space means go to the tags inside this particular tag. And now let's do that the same, let's paint this particular one, but using an external file. How do I do it? First, create an external file. This one is the code sample, but we're going to create a new one.
Does all styling have to be done at the top of your HTML file?
Yeah, it has to be done in the head, because remember, the head tag is the one that remember the concept of the head tag. The head tag is an invisible container to set up a web page before the users see it. Because otherwise, by the way, you cannot put the style tag outside the head. You cannot put it in the body. But imagine that you are loading a page, and then it will take 1 or 2 minutes until the entire web page is downloaded, and then it's trying to put the style. So you will see a web page for 1 or 2 minutes in totally white and black and white before you can see the color. It will be quite disturbing. So this is the kind of stuff that you want to actually don't show the screen until we know that the colors are ready to be displayed. That's why it's put on the head. But that was a good question anyways. Thank you so much, Tristan. So let's go and try to go to the external file. First, we create a file. This one is already done, so we're not gonna touch it. We're gonna create a new one called live class live connect CSS to HTML. Oh, this name is gonna be a pain to write it down, to be honest. But anyways, I will write here. We're gonna do the same. First, I will put the all L tag, and I will say background color. I will say something like this blue. Perfect. Let me just move the window a little bit so you can see the entire word. And now let's go to our exercise. Let me close these ones that we're not using. And this one. Let me close this one. Perfect. And let's go back to the exercise. Yeah, this was the exercise. Now you can use remember, the link tag is not for creating links, it's for importing files. Sorry for the name confusion. So we create the link tag, and we need two properties here. First, we need to tell the machine that this is gonna be treated as a CSS file, as a graphic design file. So we tell them this by telling real, we write real, and we write style sheet here. And then we tell them where is the file located, and we tell them that where is the file by using href, and we put we're going to use dot annotation to tell the machine that the file is inside my project. So I press dot slash, and I can see all the files in my project. I go to the CSS folder, I click here, and then I see two CSS files. We're going to use the one that we just created called live connect. And if I save, nothing happens. So let's see what happened. Style sheet. Let me write this one again. Style sheet. And yeah, nothing is happening. Yeah, let me see why. And oh, okay.
You have to put UL, I think UL.
I think it's, yeah, we needed to point there. Yeah, thank you so much. I was writing the wrong rule. And this is wonderful. I'm so happy that this mistake happened. Why? We are gonna move to. Let me go to this. Let me go to the slides just 1 second. We are gonna enter this topic right now, and I love it. Let's be honest. Let me be honest. We are gonna move a little bit forward in time. Rule hierarchy, or why my CSS is not fucking working. So we are gonna see this a little bit later. But let's go. Let's explain why it's not working right now. It's not working because I was targeting the all L tag here. But remember, CSS is linear. So if I write paint my number list blue here, and then below I tell the paint my same number list in pink, because this rule comes after this one will replace the one over here. So that was happening. So let's go again. We're gonna put all L here. Perfect, is already UL here, perfect. So you can see the color. And now I wanna paint the list items inside this one and only this one. So remember, I put all L space, and the ones inside these ones, inside this UL are the LI. And we'll put background color, dark, cyan, because dark blue will not be easy to read. So there you go. Let me put it in full screen. This is the two ways to import a CSS, to connect CSS files to HTML. Right now, I don't want that you memorize about these ones. We're gonna see these concepts a bit later. I want to nor to memorize this one, and especially don't memorize this right now. I only want to focus right now in that you can use the style tag to connect files inside the HTML to write CSS directly, or you can use the link tag to import CSS directly. And this is something important. Let me just minimize the window a little bit more. Yeah, this is much better. Remember, you need two properties. Number one, to tell the machine, hey, this is a graphic design file, treat it like that, and where is the file located? If you delete this one, and I save, this one disappears. And you may ask, hey, I put the link tag, and I'm telling the machine where is the file. What is not working? It's not working because this tag only import files. What I mean is that it's basically downloading a file. Like when you click a file on the internet and you start downloading something, this tag is only about getting the file, but the machine doesn't know what do you want to do with the file. Even if you know that this is a graphic design file because it's a CSS file, remember the machine cannot read your mind. The machine only do what you actually are telling to do. You are telling the machine right now, download this file, and you are not doing anything more. If you want to tell them, treat this file as a graphic design file so it will change the colors on my screen, you need to tell them, real, this is a style sheet. There you go. So this is important. Don't forget, you need these properties. Tell the machine.
So if style sheet phrase that in resort keyword something.
Can you go again? Sorry.
Is it a resort? How to say statement? Style sheet. Is there any kind of word can be used for it other than style sheet?
Do you mean? I think if I understand correctly, do you mean that if there is other properties besides style sheet?
No, I mean, is the resort key for just like, how to say, for example, integer in JavaScript. So we cannot use-
Okay. No, remember, if you're writing something inside strings, it's not a keyword. These ones will be keywords. The ones that are in white, because these are properties, and the properties are the ones that are reserved keywords. So yeah, this one is a reserved keyword, and this one is a reserved keyword. But this one is just a string. But you know that this string has a special meaning that actually will be used as a special word to denote that is a style sheet. But yeah, if we were to speak, if Java actually use CSS, you will use in Java. This is something totally invented, by the way. You will create something like real equal style sheet. This will be the syntax in Java, and then you will see that yes, this will be a keyword. But we are not using Java, we are using CSS, and in CSS you're just writing as a string. But you know that this string is super important. So yeah, I hope that can answer the question. If
So
not,
this is
yeah.
Means it's a fixed word, right? We cannot put something else apart from style sheet here. If
Okay.
we want to connect to a CSS file.
Yeah, if you want to use a CSS file, yes, because if, for example, if I put style sheets in plural, it doesn't work. If I miss IE, it also doesn't work. It needs to be a style sheet.
Okay,
And
it's
if
a
you ask,
constant.
hey, what else we can put here? You can put icons. So sometimes you see an icon inside your tabs, for example, like this one. You can use the icon, the icon as to treat that file as an icon. You can research about that. I think that in the DoubleTree reference guide that is in the cheat sheet. Let me just open the cheat sheet real quick. Just give me 1 second. I will open the platform here. Let me go full screen. If I log in, if I go to the recommended content, the cheat sheet. This one is mainly focused on the most used scenarios, and the most used scenario for the link one is a style sheet. But if you open the reference guides here, you will be able to see that you actually have a search bar here. This is quite nice. You can see it defines a relation between a document and an external file. Hey, I didn't read this way, by the way, but most used for link to style sheets. But you can see that you can get multiple, for example, style sheets. You can tell an icon. You can link to an external file, help file, information for the authors of the web page. Well, I will leave you the resource to you to actually read each one. But the most used one is the style sheet, and then secondary the icon. So I will leave you to research a little bit more about this one, because if we actually go into everything in the CSS, we're gonna need at least 1 week just for CSS. So I'm trying to cover where you're gonna use 90% of the time and give you resources you can find the other 10% on your own. So I think that now both questions are clear. Yes or no, so we can continue.
Yes, it is. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Perfect. And yes, don't worry. I feel okay with receiving these kinds of questions. And I remember, I try to put everything that you use most of the time in the cheat sheet, but in the bottom of the cheat sheet there is a link to all the resources, so you can expand your knowledge on your own in your free time. So okay, I think it's clear. Now we learn how to connect these two files inside by writing code inside the HTML file. Please read the comment here. Only use this for quick demos. This is a bad practice to put design inside the HTML file. As I was telling a couple of my mentees during the IP project, we don't want a single file that contains everything. And the reason why, because then it's a pain to know in which part of the code you are making design choices, and in which part of the code you are writing information, and in which part of the code you are writing logic, or in which part of the file you are storing information to the hard drive. So it's better to have one file to handle the information in the hard drive, one file for the design file, blah, 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 blah. So this is why we use the link tag. Now, let's go back to the slides. We're gonna go back to the connecting to these files. So again, you have the code sample here, and you will have the file, the real files that you just saw at the end of the lecture. let's move to the next topic. Controlling the HTML tags with CSS rules. We saw a little bit right now of that because, as I told you, I cannot conceive how to teach HTML without CSS at the same time. So we already make some, we control a little bit of the design with CSS in the previous example, but we're gonna go into depth right now. So we have 4 ways to control the HTML file using CSS. The first type is called by tag, and this is the one that we just saw. That each time that you write, for example, li, you saw the first time that we tried to do it, the first time that we wrote li and put the color blue, every single li tag become blue in the entire web page, including the ones that we didn't want to affect. So calling by tag is doing this. Let me go to the example. I will delete the link because I want to focus only on painting the li tags right now. So I wouldn't gonna use li. I will use color, background color, because I don't want to teach the other properties right now. And I will put it violet. As you can see, every single li is changing color right now. So what is happening behind the scenes? Basically, you're writing a rule that every time that the computer finds an li tag inside your HTML file, it will paint it blue. So the computer will go to the body tag and say, is this and it will go like a long if statement. Is this a li tag? Yes or no? If the answer is no, if the answer is yes, it will paint it blue. If the answer is no, it will be skipped. Is an li tag? The answer is no. So it's skipped. Is skip it. Is this an li tag? Yes or no? The answer is no, so it's skip it. Is this one an li tag? Yes or no? The answer is no, so it's skip it. Is this an li tag? No, so it's skip it. Then, because this one, this tag has code inside, it goes inside this tag and then asks, is this li tag? Is this tag an li tag? And the answer is yes. So I will paint whatever is inside this in purple. And then goes to the next line. Is this one an li tag? And then the answer is yes. And so I paint whatever is inside here purple. Is this one an li tag? Yes. So I will paint this one. And I know that is annoying to repeat the same line over and over again, but this is what the machine is actually doing behind the scenes. The computer is going line by line, checking if this one is an li tag to try to paint it in purple. And then go to this one, to this one, to this one, and then enters to this one, and because it is a li tag, we'll paint it, this one as well, and then we'll check this one, and then we'll check this one, and then finally, it will not check this one because we end at the body part. So this is how the call by tag is working. Let's go back to the slides. And now we're gonna see call by class. And what is call by class? This is the most common way to assign styles. Imagine a case that you only want the certain li tags to be painted. For example, we saw that each word has an emoji and the emoji has a color. So, for example, if I want to paint the li tag based on the color of the emoji, I can assign we can add a name to the li tag, so we can call the CSS file by name. So what it means that, let's see it in the example. Let's go back to the code, and we're gonna delete this line. So we'll go black again. And for example, I want to make the potato look brown. So how do I do it? You do it in 2 steps. Step number 1, let's see, paint by use it. First step number 1, I'm gonna put a name. And how do I put a name here? I will write the word class. I'm gonna put brown. Brown. There you go. And this class is not the Java class. This is another case that we were talking about yesterday. Let me go to this slide. This is what I call a glossary of confusing terms, because people are a disaster to name stuff. And now we have a new rule. We saw yesterday the rule the head versus header that are different, and link and a that are totally different. So we have a third element that on the left I say object-oriented programming class, the ones that you learn in Java, and the one on the right is a CSS class. So you know that in Java, a class is an object-oriented term for a computer code that creates an instance of an object from a template file called a class. This is the concept of the class in Java. You already know it. But in CSS, it's totally different. In CSS, a class is just a way to put a name into a particular tag, and that's it. That's it. So even if Java classes and CSS classes sound almost the same, are totally different concepts. So I'm just putting a name in this one. This li is called Brown. So for example, I can call it like my name, Eduardo. It's basically putting a name. So when you speak to somebody, you know to who are you referring to. So I would put Brown. And in the style tag, I would write, instead of writing li, because we don't want to call all the tags, we only want to call Brown, we use dot notation. And I will write dot Brown, open curly braces, and we'll put background color. Well, this brown is horrible. Let me look for another color. Barley wood. One. I will save it, and as you can see, only the tag that has the name brown will be applied. We can, by the way, we can use the same name multiple times. For example, if I want the orange to also be the apple, for example, I want the apple to also be brown, I can put class again and put the name brown. There you go. Also, this one has the color brown. We can use the color orange, for example. I will put orange. Background color, orange, red, just because I want to use orange. No, let me just use orange, the normal orange. And I want to put it on the orange, so let's do it one more time. Class and orange. There you go. So this is the second way to control the graphic design of your HTML page using CSS. Let's go for the third one, called by ID. This one is similar to the class one, but has a special meaning. Let's go and check this one. Let me delete this code here. Let me delete this one as well. Let me delete this code. We're back to a plain file. And by the way, don't worry, if you are a little bit scared that I just delete this example, I actually have another file for this one with a similar example here. So you can look it up. You can look that up. Now let's do the by ID. It's similar to the concept of the class, but this time I will put an ID and I will put a name. So for example, I will call this potato. You can use whatever name, but the important part is the ID is supposed to be a unique name, and you are not allowed to, the rule says that you are not allowed to do this, for example, ID potato again. And you may ask why. And the reason that you cannot do that, you cannot do this, is because the IDs are used for two main reasons. Number one, to define, if you want to be organized, we use IDs to imply that this is a major part of the website. So for example, if you have a section, usually the sections can be put with the ID to tell, oh, this section belongs to baseball, this section belongs to soccer, and so on and so forth. And the second use of this one, we are not gonna cover it today, is imagine that instead of being this ones being a list items where buttons, literally buttons that you can click on, and then you need to use JavaScript to react to a user pressing a button. you need to tell which button was pressed. But if two buttons has the same name, the machine will be confused. And this is similar to the question that Mega was making in the beginning. You have a bunch of HTML files, but you need to tell which one is the first file, and you use the word index.html to denote that this was the first file. So if you want to tell the machine that a user press a button, you need to have a unique name for each button, because if you have two buttons called potato, and then you tell the machine the user press the button potato, do something, the machine will answer back which potato, because you have two potatoes, and then nothing will happen, because the machine will get frustrated because it will not understand what you're trying to do, and the code won't work. So you need to understand that you can only have one ID per file. Even if I write the code and maybe it works, you need to know that you cannot do this. So I will do the ID. And how do you write a CSS code? How do you call an ID using CSS? You use the hashtag notation. So I open a hashtag and I press potato. And I will put another color. I will not use brown. I will use background color, and I will use something like, for example, pale green. I will save it. Both are working, but you know that you are not supposed to do this. The rule says that the ID is only for one file. For one ID, you can. The rule says that you need to use only one ID per file. Because when you use JavaScript and you put two IDs on the same button, the code won't work, and you need to be aware of that one. So in the CSS, you need to get used to understanding one ID, one name by ID. Never do one ID like the repeat ID. Like, for example, this one. Sorry. There you go. Never do that. Potato here. Never do that, please. But you can actually use different names here, orange as well. And there is no problem. So you can actually put the second name, orange. Color, orange, red. And this is working perfectly. Let me go back to the slides. But again, call by ID, I painted in yellow on purpose as a warning. We are going to understand this one much better when we reach JavaScript. But for now, get used to use the second method, call by class, if you want to assign, if you want to make some particular HTML tags, share the same design, but you don't want that every single tag with the same name. Sorry, you don't want that every single tag shares the same design. And finally, the fourth method, and it's painted in red as a warning sign, don't do this, is writing the CSS inside the tag. So let's go back. Let's go back here to the code. Let me delete everything. Let me delete the IDs. Just in case there is a confusion, you can have multiple IDs. What you cannot have is having the same name repeated here, just in case. So let me delete this one. Let me delete this one. And instead of using the style tag or using the external file, I can write CSS here as well. And I will put the style. And I will use background color, orchid, for example. And it works as well. But why I'm trying to say that is bad? Why I'm trying to say this is bad? I will tell you why. I write here li. I will try to change every single tag on purpose at the same time. Fail rod. I will save it. And this one is not, as you can see, the first one is not changing because you have the code here. And remember, CSS goes from the top to the bottom. So if it finds this rule first here, it will go here and will start painting everything. This is a li tag. No, 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 no. Yes, I will paint it. Yellow. I see that there is a purple here, but go with me. This one is I find an li tag, so I will paint it yellow. This is one li tag. I will paint it yellow, yellow. No, 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 no. Yes, yellow, yes, yellow, yes, yellow, yes, yellow. And then when this line of code is over, the machine will go here, 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 and find more CSS design, and will paint this one. I find that this one has background color purple, and I will paint this one purple. What is so bad? The reason is simple. If you're working on a big project and people are organized, some people will work only on the CSS using external files, and some people will work only on the HTML file in different files. And if somebody actually makes the mistake of writing this one, and imagine that you are working on distance, you're in Stockholm making this HTML file, and some of your teammates are making this CSS file in Malmo. And imagine that you are making code to make the change the design here, and somebody in Stockholm make this particular line of code, and nobody told the Malmo team that you wrote this one. The Malmo team will spend days trying to figure out why this doesn't work. So now you see why you should never, never, ever, ever do this. So never do it, even as a quick demo, never do this, please. Never do this. So I go back, and this one is fixed. And let me delete this one so it's ready for the next example. So let's go back. And don't worry, again, there is another file called controlling HTML with the same examples that we just saw. So don't worry that we were creating examples and deleted on the fly. So let's go with the next topic. Oh, and this is the explanation in case that you want to see it later. So we also have this small improvement from yesterday. We saw already this table of confusion. So you just again, don't confuse the name class. Class is only to give a name, and class in Java is a totally different concept. It's explained in the table, so if you want to read it, you can read it. Now, we saw a couple of these examples right now. Remember when I was linking a CSS file and it didn't work on the first time, and somebody from you actually told me, oh, you were writing the wrong tag? That's the most common mistake. So let's see a couple of common mistakes. Okay, you are trying, the first one is rule hierarchy. IDs has higher priority than classes. That in turn has a higher priority than styles applied, that has higher priority than classes. So let's see what it means, the first rule. Let's see. Let's go back to the code, and I will write here in this one, in the line 26, I will write, for example, an ID. I will write, for example, I will literally call ID this one, so you know that it's an ID. And IDs in this one, I will call a class. And then I'm gonna do the opposite here. I will put class here, class. And remember, you cannot use the same name, so you cannot use the same name with ID. So I will do this: ID, ID2, and this one will be called ID1. And I will write first ID1. Sorry, remember, if you want to call an ID, you use the hashtag notation. ID1. I will put background color red. And now I will put ID2 background color blue. So far, so good. You have this ID. The first ID is red, and the second one is blue. But let's see what happens with the class. How do we call this? How do I call this name? Oh, wait. Yeah. Somebody make a question?
No.
Oh, okay, no problems. But yeah, I was making a mistake. I was calling the ID class. So how do I call a name class? I just put a dot notation, and the name is class again. And I will put background color, and I will use a totally different color, for example, purple. This one is working, perfect. And let me see the one I want to imply is, for example, if I add this one, I also put the name class called class. This is what is happening. Look, this one has both an ID and a class, but it's not working. It's not getting the purple color. Even remember that CSS goes from top to bottom. So in theory, it should go ID. I find an element that has an ID. I will paint it red. It should paint it red, and then when it goes ID blue, ID 2. This doesn't have an ID 2. Then it will go class. It has a class. It should go and repaint it because this one goes after this one, but nothing is happening. The reason is IDs has high priority. It's not because I wrote it first. I can actually change the order. Look, it becomes purple, but I can put it here. Hey, actually, yeah, that's what I was expecting. Yeah. So even if I put it second or I put it first, it doesn't matter where I put it. As soon as you put an ID, remember the ID has a higher priority. So the hierarchy goes like this. I will put it like this. I will create a quick list right now. This is the hierarchy. I will copy this one. ID. Oh wait, I want to make a bullet point list. So if you want to run a bullet point, remember use the OL. So ID into parentheses hash hash. Then goes by class CSS class. I write CSS class because I remember it's not the same as a Java class, and in parentheses the dot. Then it comes the tag. In parentheses tag. So that's the hierarchy. And let's see what happens if I put a style here. Style, background color. I will put it green. It becomes green. So this one actually style inside HTML. Never do this, please. It's really important. Never do this, by the way. So this is the hierarchy. So our first, or if we go back to the slides, rule hierarchy. Remember, IDs has higher priority to classes. So if your code is not working, check out that. Check if you actually have an ID and a class in the same tag, because it doesn't matter if you write the class the class code after that. If you wrote an ID code, it will have priority. Even in CSS, we already thought that CSS goes from top to bottom, and the rules that go in the bottom has a higher priority. If you write as ID tag, no matter whatever in which part of the document, it will have a higher priority. So that's something important. Another gotcha is, well, the second one, we already just explained it. Somebody, you or somebody else wrote an aligned code inside the HTML tag. Never do that. That's this is one of the biggest rookie's mistake, because you were trying to you didn't want to make a bad code. You were just experimenting with something. For example, you just wanted to see if the background color should be blue or red. You're trying to think about design, and then you forgot to move that piece of code to a separate file. And then somebody else trying to use the document and change the design, and you cannot do it. So please never write inline code. Can you give all the color? I got a message at 9:55 that says, can you give a call by ID and class in one example? I think I just did. Maybe that message came before. So was that the question, or is something else? Let me see the chat. I have an answer. Oh yeah, it was the same. So perfect. But yeah, Congratulations. That was, of course, I plan to do that example, but if you think about that just as a case, what happens if that happens? Congratulations. That was a nice question. So I answered it before you actually asked it, but congratulations, was a nice question. So let's go back. We already covered number 1 and number 2. Let's go to point number 3. For example, you use remember that classes are named is to give names. Sometimes you use a generic name like called center. Center is super generic or blue. For example, let's use a blue as an example. I will use, for example, I will call blue here, for example, blue. And I want to use, for example, I don't want to use the real blue that is super blue. I want to use a different shade of blue. So for example, even if my class is called blue, I want to use a lighter color. So for example, light sky blue. Perfect. And in another file, so for example, in this one, somebody else use blue as well. It's not connected, so it's not going to work. But somebody also says background color and decides that no, I prefer dark blue. And then either this one works and the other one doesn't work, or the other way around. What I'm trying to say is, if you use a super mega generic name and you're working with a team, expect that somebody else already thought about using a similar name. So this can create confusions. So how to fix it? Be more specific, like light blue. It doesn't matter if the color is light sky blue, but you want to imply that I want to use a lighter shade of blue. And in the other file, imply I want to use a dark blue. So don't use ultra mega hyper generic names, because somebody else is gonna do the same and then you will have problems. So be more specific, a little bit more specific.
I mean, these are class names, right?
Yeah, class names. Yeah, remember dot
So
notation.
why would you not use why would you not use the name of the object that you are affecting the change on, or like putting the color on, as opposed to using the color of the color you want to use?
That's a nice question. That's a nice question. Let me answer this with this particular example. Let's say that you're seeing the screen, the Visual Studio at the same time, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Let's say that the design that some graphic designer sends you and is approved by the client is that this web page should be white, but every single piece of text should be in a light blue color, because that's the branding color. So for example, I'm gonna use, for example, this one, class blue. And this has to be the worst design in history, but imagine that the client is asking for this. And this is a graphic design choice. To be honest, it looks ugly as hell, but maybe the client wants that. So you were using blue because it's the color of the brand, because the company, for example, Post North, I think this is Post North, has this kind of blue colors. And you can see that this is a design like that. Of course, this one is much prettier than the one I just made, but what I'm trying to say is maybe the client wants this kind of design. So that's the reason that I was telling, oh, this is the brand color, blue, because the company that you are working for use a sign color. So that's the example, the reason I was making up this example. That was the answer of the question, or
that makes sense. I guess I understand why you would use the tag blue, because you're turning these things blue.
Yeah.
Okay, next, can I ask another question?
Yeah, please go ahead.
What happens if you're affecting this color change on a span tag?
If you remember, the span tag is is, let me put the span tag. It will happen exactly the same. Hello world.
Okay.
But let me show you. The only difference, and this, remember, the span doesn't cover the entire width. So if the machine doesn't
Yeah,
make me
that's what
look
I'm.
bad,
That's what I'm wondering. Yeah.
it only will happen. It will only cover until the D. There you go, until the D.
That's what I was wondering. Okay, cool.
Yeah, perfect.
I have a question related to this. So if I want to, I don't want to spread like have the color on the whole sheet, but just and to the text. Should I use span tag in the li?
Sorry,
Like-
can you go again?
Like hello world, the color is it's highlighted only till hello world, right? So I want this style inside HTML, only this much highlighted, not the whole like.
Okay.
Not the whole div block. Yeah.
So
So put
yeah,
the whole thing
I
in
think that if
span.
you're trying to imply, for example, let me see, let me go where is potato. If I understand correctly, for example, I will make a potato salad, and you only want, for example, the word potato being a different color, right?
Yeah, or maybe to the whole text, but not after that.
So
Oh,
instead
okay.
of having stretching all the way across
Yeah,
the
all
page,
the
just
way
be-
across.
just
Perfect.
like
Yeah, we're gonna do
wrapped
the
around.
we're gonna do both examples right now. Perfect. But beautiful
Okay,
question.
sick.
Thank you so much for asking it. I will eat carrots to improve my eyesight. We're gonna cover both the scenarios right now. Eyesight. If I will remove this tag because honestly I don't want to use it anymore. Remember, even if the class blue is here, if I don't write code, of course nothing will happen. So it doesn't matter that I have a blue tag here. So okay, I only want to make the potato brown. So I will say brown and background color Bollywood. Okay, and in this case, the other one is only on the entire line. So orange, background color coral. Yeah, looks good enough. So if I want only to paint the word potato, potato in español, in Spanish, I went to Spanish again. If I only want to cover this one, you use this the span tag. Let me put the span here, the span tag. As you can see, if I write the span tag, it doesn't happen. The span tag doesn't apply, doesn't convey anything. It's just a grouping tag. In this case, we are going to use this grouping tag to apply the colors. So let's see that in action. I will wrap it up, this potato. Let me see it here. I will wrap it up, potato, span, close one, potato, potato. As you can see, nothing happens, even if I have inside li, it looks exactly, the word potato looks exactly like this ones, but I will put the class only here, class brown. There you go, only the word is brown. And let me put the blue again, because you wanted to highlight, for example, we want to see only the paint until this part of the one is quite easy. I will delete this one and we'll add the class again. Class orange. This happened, but you don't want that. You only want to paint until here, right? So let's copy this class, got it. Let's wrap it up, the entire li span. I will cut it, wrap it up until here. Let's say I don't want the carrot to be orange, because if the carrots become the emoji will be lost. But I will put the class here, class orange, and bingo. There you go. Only the word, only the content that is inside the span is painted in. And if you want to put the emoji as well inside, simple, just cut it and put it here. There you go. That was a nice question. That was a nice trick. Yeah, thank you for asking. It was clear, or I need to actually improve the explanation?
No, it's clear.
It's
now.
clear.
Yeah.
Perfect. I will actually will save this one as a new file because this one actually I don't have this example. Being thought about this example yesterday, so I will call it using span to highlight certain words. There you go. This is a new file. And I will remove this code in this one because this one doesn't belong to anymore to, this is highlighting text using span. And I will delete this one because it doesn't belong to this one. I will copy this one as well here. Yeah, sorry for creating files on the fly. Yeah, but this I didn't find a bit this case example, and it's quite nice. Okay, maybe I'm gonna fix it later. I will delete the hierarchy. I thought I really the. I don't know. Oh, okay. This file is new. That's the reason we didn't see it. Using span. Let me open this and find it. And open this one. Okay. What is not working? Let me see. Oh, okay. The reason that it's not working is because I didn't put HTML. Remember, guys, use HTML. Now I can open it. And I will put it on your monitor in 1 second. There you go. Let me remove the word external file and internal CSS. There you go. I will delete this one as well. There you go. You have your example here. Ready to be used later. So let's go back. We covered examples number 1, number 2, number 3. Let's go for example number 4. You're using multiple CSS libraries, for example, Bootstrap. For the people that doesn't know what is Bootstrap, let's go a quick introduction. Bootstrap is a popular, if not the most popular CSS library. And what is a CSS library? Well, a CSS library is just a bunch of CSS files writing for you, because as you can see, there is a lot of CSS rules, and sometimes you want to create, for example, columns. You want to standardize your font sizes. You want to standardize the brand colors. You want to make the buttons look bigger or smaller. So to avoid writing CSS code over and over each time that you start a new project, people just create libraries with content pre-written with the most use cases scenarios. So you can use that one. The problem with using Bootstrap or these kinds of libraries, if let's say that Bootstrap has let's open Bootstrap just to show this right now. Bootstrap. Give me 1 second. I'm opening another window. That's why. So that's why you don't see anything yet. Okay. So for example, you see these big buttons that they look pretty, and when you pass the mouse, I don't know if you can see it due to the streaming speed, but instead of going from white to gray directly, there is a smooth transition. So if you don't want to write code for that, Bootstrap has you covered. But the problem is, this one becomes darker. It's pretty. No, I'm not gonna lie about that. But what happens is you don't want the buttons in this size. You want to make it smaller, and you want to make it round, and you want to make a lot of changes. If you want to say just instead of making purple, make it blue, that's using Bootstrap. But if you want to make a super complicated changes, for example, making this totally round or making the text go vertical, then Bootstrap instead of helping you, it will start working against you. So this is the gotcha number 4. If you're using a library for Bootstrap and you want to make radical changes that are totally different what the Bootstrap library has, you will start fighting with your code. Just like in example number 2. Remember that we were talking about that you were writing the HTML file in Stockholm, and the people in Malmo were writing the CSS file in Malmo, and you made the mistake of writing the CSS code, a little bit of CSS code inside your HTML file in Stockholm. and then the people in Malmo will spend hours trying to make the same mistake. Well, Bootstrap will still having the same problem. It just try to make super complex changes. And this comes from experience. Last year, one student actually started using Bootstrap, and we told them for the final project, it's not necessary to use Bootstrap. You can write the CSS on your own. But the student decided to go to use Bootstrap because she had a previous experience using Bootstrap. But we say, okay, if you feel comfortable using Bootstrap, go ahead and use Bootstrap. What happened? She wanted to make a mobile menu that instead of opening in the left, opening in the center. And she was asking all the TAs for help. She spent 3 days trying to do that, and she could not do it. And she was writing the code, and she was showing the code to the TAs, and not all the TAs are actually quite proficient in CSS. Until she asked me, and I saw the code, and I say, okay, the code that she's writing looks okay. Actually, I think that this code is supposed to be working. She didn't tell me that she was using Bootstrap. She only told her to his mentor. And then I asked, hey, by chance, do you have Bootstrap? And she says, yes. And say, there you go. Point number 4 was written by this specific case. And I asked, and this is the fun part. I asked, why do you use Bootstrap? And she told me, because it's easy to make carousels. Carousels, you know, is this collection of images that change from one side to another. The project was a multi-page project of around 7 pages. And only one page has a carousel. But the mobile menu was applied in all 7 pages. So she spends like 2 days fighting with the CSS code to make the mobile menu work, to make it work on mobile devices, because the final project needs to work on cell phones, guys. Be aware of. So she was trying to fight with the code only because she installed Bootstrap for one particular feature. And she was ultra frustrated. The TAs were frustrated because nobody can find the mistake. And the mistake was not in her code. She was writing good CSS code. The problem was in Bootstrap. So be aware. On the other hand, I don't try to say never use Bootstrap, because maybe I'm trying to scare you to use Bootstrap like it was a software engineering module. No, I don't want to try to imply that. But what I'm trying to imply is, if you want to make a small, if you're lazy and you don't want to use you want to design using CSS, it's okay, use Bootstrap. But if you actually want to make a super custom design, don't use Bootstrap. You cannot have it both ways. You don't want to design, use Bootstrap. But if you want to design, don't install Bootstrap and try to change Bootstrap, write code, CSS code on top of that, because that will make problems. So remember.
So should she have just written the CSS code for carousels herself? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. I forgot this part. Thank you so much, Tristan, because I asked her. By the way, I think that she hates me. By the way, because when she was super frustrated, I asked her, "How many days are you having this problem?" And she told me like 2 or 3 days. And I asked her, "How much time it will have take you to write the carousel by hand?" And she told me, I don't know, 2 hours, 4 hours. I told her, okay, 4 hours. So you install Bootstrap to save 4 hours of working, and you spend 3 hours asking. I don't kid you not. I think that half of the TAs knew about this problem. we spoke about this problem actually in a meeting, because everybody knew about this problem. And I asked her, it was worthwhile to save 4 hours of work on something that you know how to do it by hand without problems, and be frustrated for 3 days. Instead of smiling, she actually looked me at the webcam like, son of a bitch. But sorry, that was your problem. You were trying to take a shortcut by installing Bootstrap, and then Bootstrap, it's like making a deal with the devil. You can start super far with Bootstrap, but if you want to make something custom, it will make you suffer. So be aware. You don't want to design at all, use Bootstrap. You want to design custom code, be aware of Bootstrap. So something to have in mind. So this is an anecdote, it's a history based on a real history, point number 4. And then you can see on a small footprint This list will be updated with all the gotchas or problems during these 2 weeks, and also in the group project, by the way. Of course, it will be anonymously. So I expect that for the iteration number 9, I will have a list with 5 bullet points, 7 bullet points, and I will tell all the horror stories that you will experience. I will never tell the names, of course, but case number 5 will be based on some problem that I will find in the SD iteration 8, and so on and so forth. So this list will become bigger the more we work together, guys.
Excuse me, Adirada.
Yeah.
In a web development module also will be having a individual project, or is it a group project?
For the group project, don't worry.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's see the time. What time is it? It's 10. Okay, if we go by the table of contents, let me put it back. Sorry, I forgot that we are not here. We're on the half part of the course. Do you want to take a 15 minutes break?
Yeah.
Yeah, then let's see ourselves in 15 minutes. Let me put the timer here. Just give me 1 second. You are seeing the screen. Google timer 15. And see you in 15. Before I press the button and the break officially starts, the second part is longer. So two things will happen. Either we are not gonna cover it in 1 hour, or we overextend, and then sorry, option number 1 is that we overextend like yesterday, and option number 2 is that we actually cover the topics missing in the next day. So let's see what happens. I will press the button and we start the break right now. See you in 15, guys.
See ya.
See you.
Hello, guys. We're back.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Everybody's here? Yeah, perfect. There is even 40 people. Wait, what? How? Give me 1 second. How?
Hermanus has 2 accounts, I'm guessing.
Okay. The 2 monitors of Hermanus.
Yes.
Yeah, but even though...
Hermanus and Hermanus 2.
Yeah, that's my other computer, so I don't need to stare at this side all the time.
Okay. Well, let's go then. We finished the first 4 topics: introduction, how to connect a CSS file, controlling the tags, the rule hierarchy. Now, just let me move this one. I think it's actually blocking your view. Give me 1 second. This toolbar is actually blocking my view. So let me just put it in a place that doesn't bother me. So okay, we saw topics number 1 to 4. We are gonna try to cover as much as topics number 5, 6, 7, and 8. Don't worry, we have buffer time, so I will take I will prioritize covering the things slowly but well done than trying to skip information. So if we don't finish today, we finish tomorrow. And if we don't cover enough CSS content for finish the CV project, the CV homework, then the CV homework will not be for today. So we move 1 day. So don't worry about that. I want to give a priority to learn well than to trying to learn fast. So let's go to topic number 5, responsive design. Let me go here. So responsive design. And again, responsive design is a buzzword that you hear if you are into web development. Well, responsive design is a fancy word for adjust content based on the screen size. That's it. That's a responsive design. If somebody asks you, they will say it's to adapt the content to mobile phones, tablets, laptops. Well, yes, that's true. But behind the scenes, the only thing that is happening is that the content is adjusted based on the screen size. And that's what you need to know. So how does it work? Well, how does it work? It's quite simple. You use a special rule, and now you know about rules. This one is a special rule called a media query. And the media query is what I want to call, I don't know if this is an official name, but I want to call it anyways like this. It's a wrapper tool. And what I mean for a wrapper, I will try to move this window to your view. What I mean by a wrapper is that you can see where I'm highlighting with the mouse. This is the standard CSS rule that you just saw right now in these lectures. And you know by now that I'm calling this one by tag because I don't have a hashtag or the dot. So I'm calling by tag. So I also have a tag here, a CSS rule by tag, but using something special. It's wrapped up around a new rule. You can see that I used the orange color on purpose. This rule is wrapping or involving our rule inside. And now that I use the mouse, I will go back to full screen. And what is happening is anything inside this wrapper will only appear on a screen if the screen has a minimum width of 600 pixels. So let's read the code together. The first line of CSS code has a comment called default. By the way, if you want to write a comment in CSS, it's different than HTML. In HTML, it was a tag, minor sign, exclamation point, dash dash, the comment, and then dash dash major sign. For CSS, if you want to write a comment, is slash asterisk your comment, and then you close the comment by inversing it, asterisk slash. So you're writing a code that the font size of the body tag. Remember, the body is the first element that is visible on the screen. So you're telling basically that everything has a font size of 15 pixels. But then you have a comment that says tablet, and below the comment you see a special Kerry, don't worry, you don't need to memorize it. Even I, to be honest, copy and paste every time that I need to use these tags, because the hell I will memorize add media only screen and open parenthesis minimum width 600 pixels, close parenthesis over braces. I cannot memorize that. So each time I need to use a media query, either I copy from an old project or I just Google it. So don't be ashamed of that. So I don't want to memorize the tag right now. I just only want that you understand what is happening. You have a special rule wrapping around in orange the body tag. So what it's trying to say is, if the minimum width of the screen is 600, that means as soon as the screen size is bigger than 600, that's how you can read this. Minimum width equals 600 means when the screen size is bigger than 600, something will happen. And this, what is going to happen is anything that is written inside the tag. So in this case, what I'm trying to say is that the font size will become 24 pixels. So it will become bigger. And then below that, there is another comment says laptop and desktop. And this one has a similar rule. Media only screen and minimum width equals 1024 pixels. And inside that, there is a rule that says the tag body will have a font size of 36 pixels. Let's see this in action. Remember that we have a couple of examples ready to be used. So we have one for media queries. First, I will go with first I will show the results, and then we're gonna write examples from scratch. So let me resize the screen, and you can see the results. So if the screen is quite small, like for example, for a mobile device, you can see that the font size is super small, and the background becomes light gray. If I make the screen a little bit bigger by dragging the window, you see that in one moment the text becomes bigger, and the background becomes darker. And if I keep moving the screen around, boom, it becomes super big. So this is basically media queries. And this is what it allows in the project CV to when the screen is when the mobile you'll see the web page in a mobile device, you see all the content in a vertical layout, and when we have a space, we actually move to a 3-column layout. It's simple. We just wrap it up content to create 3 columns when the screen size is bigger than certain physical size. Size in pixels, not physical size, size in pixels. So let's build this media query right now, shall we? First, the body tag is, as you can see, the content here is quite easy. So I don't need to explain. There is one title and 2 paragraphs. That's it. So what we're going to delete is all this content. So we lose the responsiveness. As you can see that no matter the screen size is the same. So we're gonna create a media query, because I don't memorize it. To be honest, I don't memorize this one. I will literally do media query, and we'll copy it from the first result that is in purpose. Yeah, I have no shame about this one. So I will copy this one. I will only copy the media query. I will change it to my own design, and you can see what is happening. I will create a wrapper. I will save it. Nothing happens because there is no rules. But let's read it together. Media only screen, and then again max width 600. I will change it to actually min width, and I will explain why. Just one second. I prefer to use min width instead of max width because this is actually makes easier. Why? Because this allows me to write CSS code here. For example, if I put a body, background color, red. So I will go, just remember, CSS codes go from the top to the bottom. And I want to use a similar analogy with my design. I want to go from smaller devices to bigger devices. So the smaller device, I write the code on the top, and the bigger the device will go on the bottom. because I want to go from small to big. So I will use, instead of using max width, I will use min width. Min width. And I will say that when the screen size reach this size, I will use the background, the change in the background color will become green. Let me see what is the mistake. Oh, okay. What is a mistake? This is a nice gotcha, because I was trying to write CSS code directly, but remember, this is a wrapper. We need to tell which tag we are gonna affect in this change. Body, background color, green, and let's see if it's working. And when the screen becomes bigger, I will change the size to 800, so the changes doesn't happen that fast. I will move the windows slowly. It's red, 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 and we reach 800. There you go. It becomes green. And let's copy this rule again. Remember, I don't expect that you memorize the rules. I just want that you can understand it and then Google that when you actually need it. And I will put, I think, 1200, and I will make this one blue.
Eduardo, that live update thing that we were going to download yesterday that you couldn't. That's what's happening here. Do you think we can go through that at the end?
Okay, perfect. Yeah, you're totally right.
Yeah, that's
Please
what
remind
you're
me that
doing here.
at the end, and we can do it. Yeah, of course. And thank you so much. I actually wanted to do it yesterday, but as I told you, I was on another computer, and it was not working, and the computer was super slow, and I was recording. So at one point, I say, do I debug this at the risk of actually fucking up the entire recording, or I just save it for later? So yes, please remind me at the end. Yeah. But for everybody, I'm using a plugin called Live Servers that allows me to avoid having to reload the page each time I need to make changes. So as you can see, we go from a small, bigger, and the biggest size possible. And congratulations, if you use min width instead of max width, we go from small devices, medium devices, bigger devices, and it's a nice flow. You go from the small device to the bigger device, just like CSS goes from the first line to the last line. So this flows makes the process work much better. So let's go back to the slides. And now you learn about the media query concept. If you want more information, you can open the link here. But you may ask, hey, Eduardo, we haven't learned anything about responsive design. I don't know how to make the 3 columns layout that we saw yesterday. Right now, we just focus on how to make the screen, the CSS change based on the screen size. How to alter the layout is something that we're gonna cover up next. But before that, this is a small table. This is based on a personal experience. I don't say that you need to follow this rule, but this is something that I use on my own personal projects. I create all my rules that are outside the media queries are for mobile devices. So I write my code for mobile devices first. So my code works from a mobile device from the very first time that I'm writing code. It works on a mobile device. Because as I told you at the beginning of this lecture, you're using a MacBook Pro, 13 MacBook Pro. That model and the 15-inch MacBook Pro, MacBook Pro are the most popular ones for mobile web design. But if you enter Google Analytics or any analytics page, you will see that the most popular devices are mobile phones. So don't expect that everybody will see the website just like the computer that you have. You don't have the most popular computer in the world. It's super expensive. So not everybody in the planet has a MacBook Pro. So don't design for the 13-inch MacBook Pro or the 15-inch MacBook Pro. Design for mobile devices. And I don't mean iPhones. I mean just small screens. So I first write my codes for mobile devices. Then I wrote code if I need to tweak something for special big fonts. And what is a phablet? A phablet is a fancy term for ultra big devices. There is super devices. I don't know if you know the Samsung Galaxy Note. There is a 6-inch device. And I remember like 10 years ago, they were small tablets in 7 inches. So we are 1 inch away to make a phone that as big as a small tablet. And now there is an iPhone 11 Pro Max, and I think that the iPhone 12 Pro Max is even bigger than. So we are reaching a size, a super size that you cannot hold this mobile phone with just one hand. So this is a phablet, and I use 400 pixels for that one. Then for tablets, I use 550 pixels. Then for laptops and desktop, I use 700, and there is a comment, I will open it in a second. And then for desktops that are bigger than 24-inch monitors, I use 1,600 pixels. And I will read the comments, just give me 1 second. I cannot see the chat window when I am like max width. Okay, can I use max width instead of min width? Yeah, that's a good question. And as I was telling you before, if you use max width, the problem is it will mess up the analogy I was telling you about. If you use max width instead of min width, it will happen the other way around. The rules that come first will prioritize bigger devices, and the rules that affect mobile devices will go on the bottom. So if you use max width, you will inverse the order. And remember, we want to give priority to mobile devices that are the most popular device in the world. So again, if you use max width, you will inverse the order, and the bigger devices will go first, and the smaller devices will go later. And that will make you actually prioritize the code for the bigger devices. When you don't want to do that, you want to prioritize smaller devices. So that's why we use min width. Something to consider by. But as I told you, I will not fail you if you write this kind. If you want to use max width. But I'm explaining why I prefer min width. I want to give priority to smaller devices, because something important. Remember that the CSS code runs from top to bottom. And remember that another thing, and we're not talking about performance, and I don't know about you, but I care about performance. This device has a small battery and a small processor. Your laptop has a big battery and a big processor. If you write your code for mobile on the bottom, your mobile device will need to apply the rules for the desktop first, and then overwrite their code when they find the code for the laptop. And then when they finish the code of the laptop, they will run the code again for the tablets. And then when they finish the code for the tablets, you will run your code for the big devices. And then you will run their code once again for your phones. That means that you will kill the battery of your phone users real quickly, because the CSS code. Remember when I was at the beginning of the lecture, I was going line by line, like you thought that I was a fool, like saying, if this is a LI, yes or no. If this is a LI, yes or no. The computer does that, and you will force your mobile device to run a lot of code when it should be the other way around. The mobile phone should only run the first line of code, and then the more powerful devices that has battery to spare should run all the rules. So that's why I prefer to write using min width instead of max width. And I see another comment, just give me 1 second. Oh, perfect, the explanation is okay. So now, with that in mind, if you are gonna use Macs, Macintoshes, Safari is gonna be a popular device, and this one has a super cool way to test how to simulate devices on your browser without resizing the windows and actually getting the exact font size. So how do we test that? There is a special mode in Safari called responsive web mode that allows you to test how your web page will look on an iPhone, on an iPad, or in a laptop, or a generic laptop or a generic desktop. And how do it works? It's simple. You need to enable the first time. You need to follow these steps. We're gonna go step by step, and you remember you have the recording, so don't try to activate it right now. So first, you enable once by going to Safari. Let me go to Safari in full screen. You go to Safari.
Does Google Chrome have this option?
Sorry?
Does Google Chrome have this option?
Google doesn't have it by default, but if you know about Google, has something cool called extensions, and they have plenty of extensions. So
Any extension that can do this. Cool.
Definitely. I haven't used it because I don't use Chrome, but I can guarantee you that there is going to be not one, but 20 extensions similar to this one. But
cool. Thank you.
But to be honest, I really think that this was invented by Safari 5 years ago, and after that, people started copying it in Chrome. So that's why
you're so brand loyal.
Oh yeah, I am totally sellout.
You're such an Apple fan. Hey, it's crazy.
Totally. I don't even try to hide it. But anyways, you go to Safari, open Preferences, and you see this panel of options. You go to the last one, Advanced, and you click the Show Development in the toolbar. As you can see, this is how you see your Safari right now in your computers. You have Safari, File, Edit, View, History, Bookmarks, Window, and Help. If you click this one, you will see a new option called Develop. You close this one, go to Develop, and you enter responsive mode. There is even a shortcut called Command R. You click here, and you can see, you can press on an iPhone, on the smallest iPhone, then on a bigger iPhone, then on an iPad mini, and then it becomes bigger, and then on the big device. And if you actually make it even bigger, you can see the screen size in pixels. This is super important because you can see in which point your media query will trigger. And I think that we coded to trigger in 1200. So let's see. 192, 95, 97, 98. I cannot move the mouse that small. 97, you can see it here. And as soon as we cross the threshold to more than 1200, it becomes blue. To exit the mode and keep browsing the web browser normally, because I think every single page, no, not every single page, just this tab becomes mobile. Just click Develop again and exit the responsive mode. Let's go back to the slides. There is no doubt that you can find the same extensions in Chrome. Just need to look responsive web mode in extensions in Chrome or in Mozilla, and you will find similar plugins. So you probably can do this as well on Windows. So don't worry about that, but I'm used to Safari, so that's the reason. And I know that Safari invented this feature, so that's the reason I've been using it for more than 5 years. So next topic, wow, now we are starting to write real CSS code. We just saw how to modify content based on the screen, but we haven't made any drastic changes, like making columns or something. Now we're gonna start talking about this, finally. Finally. First, we're gonna talk about controlling space. I showed this slide yesterday, but to be honest, it makes more sense now in this topic than in HTML. We know that the elements that have the display type block, for example, div, take the entire width. Which elements cover the entire block? Is div, the paragraph, the UL, the LI, the headings, and to see which ones has this property. Remember, go to the platform. Give me 1 second. I will open the cheat sheet. I will put it right here. I will pin this tab. Remember, we're in the cheat sheet that you have in the platform. And if you go to group plugin tags, you can see that the display type. And if they say block, it will mean that it will cover the entire screen. And if you activate the training wheels CSS file that I gave you, you will see a blue background behind that. Otherwise, you will not see any changes. And we saw today an example that the inline only covers the space that actually needs to cover the entire word. And then the rest are display block. And the content tags, most of them are blocked. The hyperlinks, the anchor is inline, the label is inline, the image is inline, and the videos are inline. So you need to remember this. You don't need to memorize it. You will learn by experience, by using these headings every single day. You will reach a point that you don't need to read this column. You actually will memorize which ones actually are displaying line and which ones are displaying block. So let's go back to the slides. What is this? Why is this important? Because you need to know which elements will behave like this, like it will be put on top of bottom. Remember when we did a export yesterday, I wrote one line of let me write it actually right now in Visual Studio Code here, and let me open this particular media query. Let me delete the code. No, I will not delete the code. Oh no, yeah, this is the one that deleted here. We have no design. Remember, we put one H1 here. You should not have two H1s in the same document. This is an example only. Text. Remember, even if we only have we have all this space available to put the next title, it goes to the next line. But if we use a span, it doesn't happen like that. Hello. And if we use another span, well, this will go in the side. Because if we activate the training wheels, remember the training wheels are in the platform, link, real, style sheet. And now you can see how intertwined HTML and CSS are. It's incredible that you need to learn both concepts at the same time. I think that this one was HTTP //SDA platform SE/training wheels.css. If not, don't worry, I have it here, the shortcut, because I wrote the URL wrong. SDI project. Yep, .se/training wheels CSS. Let me close this one. Let me close this tag, and let me change the link direction. There you go. You can see, and this is what I'm trying to imply in the slides, is elements that have display block will cover the entire width of the page. Anything that has block has the entire space, and the span only covers the space that they need. The problem is that you cannot see it until you actually start writing some CSS to test. That's the reason that I create this training wheel. So it's like a way to visualize this until you get enough experience, so you don't need to use this CSS ever again. But it's quite useful in the beginning. I see a question. I will start responding questions a little bit later, because if we break, we're gonna take 4 hours to finish. But I know that there's questions in the chat, and I will try to cover it as soon as we finish an entire topic. So with that in mind, let's go to the next topic. You know how how certain elements behave. Now let's go to a different topic. We're going to talk about controlling the space using either margin or padding. And this is another property that is quite tricky if you don't use the training wheels, because people can see the problem as the same. People see the problem in the same way, behaving in the same way. So let's go again to code, and I will write some example code right now. I will write a P. I will say hello world. I will put the title, and the title will be margin versus padding. And here I will write another thing, for example, H2. This is another title, just ignore me. We are gonna focus only on the paragraph. So I will write some code right now. So for example, remember we're gonna call the paragraph by tag, and I will say margin top to push the content. Margin top will make the box go to a little bit lower. So for example, if I put 150 pixels and I save, you can see that I just moved the content 50 pixels up. If I write margin, if I delete this one, go back to the neutral position, If I write margin down, right now you don't need to memorize. The rules. You can look up the rules over the internet. I just want to know, understand the behavior. Margin down. Oh, margin bottom. Sorry, no margin down. Margin bottom. That's my mistake. And I put 50 pixels. Now I'm pushing these ones down. The rest of the elements down. If I go and do left, now this one is pushed from the left. And if I do the right, you will not see anything. But it's actually working. How do we know that it's actually working? If I put the background color, I put it this one. And you can see that if I put margin right 0, it takes the entire width. But if I put 50 pixels, it's pushing the element a little bit to the right. And now it comes the tricky part. Now you saw how it is working with the margin. Let me do the same with another property called padding. I will put padding top, and I will put 50 pixels. Hey, it's exactly the same, right? Or looks like. Let's do the same with bottom. It looks the same as the one before that. And let me put left. It's the same. So what is happening? It's the same property. Why somebody designed the same property twice? That doesn't go against the rules that do not repeat your code. Why the inventors of CSS make the same rule twice? There has to be something. Let's see what is happening behind the scenes.
What does it mean, P?
Sorry?
What does it
Paragraph.
mean? Paragraph, okay.
Yeah, I actually going to explain it right now. So let's see this. I will put the background color first, so we can see what is happening behind the scenes. How do I put the background? Remember, I will activate my training wheels. This is why it's so important, this file, when we are learning CSS real. Style sheet. And my hyperref. This one. Now let's see what is happening behind the scenes thanks to the training wheels. If I put margin top 50 pixels, look, I'm pushing the box, and we already know that. But look what will happen with the padding one. Padding top 50%. Can somebody tell me what is the difference?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I'm not sure the correct wording of this. That's the difficulty. But you are moving one thing within its own section and one thing further away from the section above it.
Yeah,
padding is just filling space inside the same section.
Correct.
So section's not the right word.
Correct. As you can see,
the right word. What's the correct word?
Yeah, now I'm gonna explain it. You can see that let me just 1 second. Let me grab literally a piece of paper. Okay, I'm gonna do something super crazy. I hope that you can see the colors that I'm writing. I'm gonna use literally old school teaching methods right now. Just give me 1 second. And I really wanted to do this one, by the way, yesterday, but I was not in the office. So let's see if actually works. You can see my webcam, right? Hello, you can see you can see myself on the webcam, right?
Yes, we can see you.
Okay, so I will show this. Can you see a piece of paper with a P tag?
P. Yes.
Perfect. You can see it clearly? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, as you can see, this is a piece of paper that doesn't contain any information. This is your tag. You can see the tag, and you can see that the white is the color that is in the short screen is in blue. So let me paint it in blue real quick, so you can see it just like the training wheels. Give me 1 second.
Yep.
Now you can see some lines in blue, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, basically what I have right now is in paper is this. I have an right now you can see in the web page you can see an empty paragraph tag that is blue, and I have a piece of paper that is also a piece of paper with just white. So the tag has an element called the box, and the box is the one that you can see blue both in the web page and in the real piece of paper. And if you write the content, for example, I write hello world, I will just write hello due to space. If I write hello, and I will write hello here as well, you can see that I wrote in both in the web page the word hello and in the piece of paper. So this is what is happening. Your tag is composed of two major elements. The box is the one, the blue one that you can see in the background, and it's called a box because it's literally a box behind the tag. And then whatever you write inside the text is the black text that you can see in the piece of paper. So this is a perfect analogy. And now let's explain what is happening with the margin versus padding. Margin, let me use the keyboard here. Let me move my markers. Margin push my element away from the other element.
Mm-hmm.
Padding, on the other hand, just as the word is meant, is pad, is adding a space inside my element. That's the difference. Margin push the elements out from the other elements in the web page, and padding is making a space inside the element. In this case, let me put the piece of paper. We are trying to push the elements inside here. So let me make a quick animation from the PowerPoint to showcase the difference. In this case, we're going to do an example of the margin. By the way, this exercise is not 100% accurate with CSS. You understand that Apple Keynote is not the same as a web browser, so it's not 100% accurate, but it will give you the idea. So if I do a margin top, this is going to happen. Margin top, push my elements. Then if I do margin right, yeah, margin right, is the other element that gets pushed. If I do margin bottom, let me move. I think that the zoom toolbar is covering a little bit the screen, but you can see a little purple thingy below. If I do margin bottom, is the other box that gets pushed, and if I do margin left, we get pushed to the side. So that's the behavior of margin. If we go to on the other hand with padding, if I do a padding top, this is what is happening. The content is starting to get pushed inside the box. If I do padding right, my content starts to move, and you can even see that the text starts to realign itself because there is no more space. If I do padding bottom, you can see how it goes, and if I do one more padding left, you can see the content is inside. This is one tricky when you're starting to learn, because the problem with the CSS, let's go back to the Visual Studio Code, is that, remember, if I remove the training wheels, you can see that margin and padding are almost the same. You can see that they're pushing the space, but if you actually activate this one, you will see that there is a difference between one and the other. So again, check out this CSS file, check this animation. I repeat, this animation is not 100% accurate to the with the web browser. It's just an example, but I think it will give you the idea how to work. And when do you need to use margin? Of course, it's simple. When you use margin, when you need to push elements and position elements further down or further to the left, and you use margin when you want to a particular grouping element, for example, an article tag or a site tag or whatever, when you want to leave a space between the elements that are inside the padding. So I think that this card example is a nice example. If you want to increase the space between the image and the container itself, you use the padding element. If you want to push elements around the web page, you use margin. So that's the difference. Now let's move to the next topic. Okay, this one is a pain. Not gonna lie, I didn't have enough time to explain this one, so I will go to this resource called CSS Flexbox Guide. Give me 1 second. CSS tricks, Flexbox. Flexbox. The complete guide to the Flexbox element. I will put it here. We're gonna go here in full screen. Just give me 1 second. Okay, I will pass this link as well, and I think if it's not in the resource list, I will put it today, so you have it. But what is happening? Imagine that you have a container like the URL list, and you want to go, instead of going from vertical, the list items go from vertical layout, you want to move them to the sides. And I also got the question that, for example, wait, my articles are go from top to bottom. I want to move them left to right. There is a property for that. And let's see how it works by using an example. We'll create a new one. Let me, this one is the media query, so let me just go Control C until you see all the margin tags. Control C. There you go. And this is where this is how the files was. And now let me create a new file, and we'll call this one Flexbox. Flexbox.html. HTML. There you go. Again, HTML. I will use a shortcut. You actually can create the entire block if you write. Let me show you again. If you in Visual Studio Code, write HTML, and in the options you pick the one that says 5. It will create the entire. You actually add a little bit more tags, and you can research about what those tags means. But the important part is that we have a head and a body. In the title, I will call this Flexbox. I will add our famous training wheel so we can see what is happening. I will use the training wheels link real style sheet href. Sorry, copy, paste, close it. And let me open this one with the famous live server, and I will put this one here. Perfect. So even if the file is empty, you can see that. Let me close this one just to organize a little bit my code. Even if the file is empty, you know that the training wheels are working because you can change the background color just a bit. So let's create a div. Let's create a div. And I will save. It's empty, but you can see that I already created a container. Remember, the div is a container. It doesn't have content itself. And if you write something inside this, it's a bad practice. Remember, it's a bad practice. And now let me write some content. For example, a paragraph. Hello. Now I have another paragraph. By another called CSS. Okay, you know that you can see that the elements are behaving from top to bottom. Imagine that I actually want to change the order. Instead of going from top to bottom, go from left to right. How to do that? Let's do some new CSS code for that. Style. Div. To know that we are actually targeting the div and everything is working, I will add a little bit of background color. I will add, for example, let me see. It's not the prettiest color, but we can see what is happening. Now we're going to tell to change the direction of the content inside the div. from top to bottom to left to right. So I will use a new property called display. I will tell that the display is flex. Hey, look at what happened. Now my element, the paragraph elements are behaving something similar to span tags because they don't occupy the entire width. You can see that, right? Our paragraph became something similar to a span tag. So it's basically what I did right now with the flex is like I just did p display type. Oh, by the way, I forgot about this one. You can change the display type from block to inline if you want. And there you go. So they become inline. So let me go this one. Oh, I have 21 questions. I will actually break because I see too much questions. I'm afraid that I'm losing you guys. By the way, if you are totally lost 100%, don't be afraid to adjust speaking out loud. So yeah, let me see the comments. Just 1 second. Does CSS standard color package? Okay, Tristan makes a question. Does CSS has a standard color package for colors? I will talk about that one in one slide below. I have that information. Sif has speak about the colors. So yeah, we're gonna speak about the colors. Everybody's about colors. Okay, everything's about colors. Don't worry, guys. I have a nice slide just about color. We're gonna reach that one later. I was afraid that everybody was hyper lost and I was not explaining anything at all. But it's good that you just went a little bit off topic because we're gonna cover colors, I promise. And I have a really nice PowerPoint slide about that. But let's go back to flex. And I will say, sorry, display flex. And this happened. Now I can say flex direction. Now that I changed my property, I can use a new property called flex direction. And I can say, if I say, for example, columns, they went back to normal. But look at what happened if I use column reverse. You can see that the first tag is hello, the second one is goodbye, and the third one is CSS. But here it's rendering a different order. What is happening? Flex allows me to reorder my items inside whatever order I want. Why I want to do that? Well, it's all about design. You want to change your orders. Imagine, for example, that you have a little bit of JavaScript and you have a table and you want to press something and change the order of the table. Hey, there you go. Easy peasy. There's many reasons that it's all about design. You want to change the order of the stuff. So you can do it with this property. There is many properties. We're never able to cover every single one. But let me go to row. This is the row, and rows also have reverse. And look what happens. Now the row goes from left to right. I will give you the link to the Flexbox article where you can see all the combinations possible. But I want to focus on the most common scenario that, for example, is flex direction, column. Sorry, flex direction, row. Row. And so we can see the example is, let me say this particular one. I will increase the height of my div. Yes, you can make the div bigger than actually it needs to be. If I put 100%, let me put, for example, 500. You can see that they're super big. They become a single blob. I will fix that one by using the p tag. And remember, I will use margin, no padding, to make them. Oh yeah, that doesn't. This is a special case. You cannot use margin left or right inside a span element. So once you start using flex, you will use the margin property inside this one. But what I want to do is that they cover the entire height. So inside the p tag, I will write flex item. I think it's flex item. Flex row, sorry, it's here. Flex row. one. No, this one goes in the child. Sorry, my bad. I think it's this one, flex grow one. Yeah, there you go. And okay, because I cannot add margins because the flex box is overriding the paragraph. I can add actually a border. We're gonna see these properties in detail. Don't worry, a little bit later. Solid, 2 pixels black, so we can just see the unions. Okay, so with the flex grow, I can tell hey, make the entire elements, take the entire space. If you think that we can do columns with this one for the CV project, the answer is yes. But I'm gonna teach you an even faster way a little bit later.
Can we change the color different paragraph?
Sorry?
Can we change the different paragraph as different color?
Oh, different colors, of course, yes. We can still change that. Remember, as a class, I will call this one red. I will call this one class blue. And I will give a different name to this one, class yellow. Remember, just write a little bit of CSS, dot red, background color red. And there you go. And you can do the same with the blue one and the yellow one. So yep, no problem. What we lose is the option of the margin because the flex box is taking charge of that one. Now let me go back to the guide and a little bit because I want to show you another properties. You can see that you can change the order, and you can by using the order property, you can change it in the horizontal way or in the vertical way. I will give you this resource so you can read a bit more due to time, because trust me, Flexbox can take 1 hour to teach because there is a lot of properties and it's super useful. Let me see something important. Oh, again, this one is quite nice. We can go through this one. Let's see this one. Let me forget about this flex grow property. Let me go back to this one. You can see that we went back to square one. And by the way, I really like that we have one red just to show the difference. We're going to use a new property from Flexbox that is called justify content. I can put center, and the content is center itself. I can say another property is flex n, and it goes to the left, flex star. So what is justify? Justifying is moving the entire block of elements and is moving it around left, right, center, and so forth. Let's do the next property that is align. Instead of justifying, remember, justifying is moving the entire contents left, right, center, or whatever, and align is distributing the space. Align content, space around. What happened? Align space around, space between. Yeah, it's not working. Let me see why. Give me 1 second to the guy. We saw justifying content, flex star. Oh, okay. Sorry, no, I think it's with the same justifying content. So my bad. Justifying content, space between. There you go. Yeah, my bad. So you can use a space between to actually tell the machine spread the elements inside around. And if I add a new tag, look at that, it will become automatically aligned. Perfect. It's quite useful. So hey, you have a multiple column layout right now. Congratulations. Let me see if I find another property that is important to check. Okay, this one is also quite nice. This is this one actually. Let me see if I can modify the height right now just to see this one. Height 200 pixels. 1 second. Perfect. Now my elements are distributed in the horizontal axis, but I want to actually move them to the bottom. So I use align content, flex n. 1 second, what happened? Why it didn't work? Align items. Oh, okay, align items. Sorry, align items. There you go. So you can modify the horizontal axis with justifying content and the vertical axis with align items. And don't be ashamed of using this guide. I have years of CSS experience, and trust me, each time that I want to use Flexbox, I open this guide because let me put it on full screen, just 1 second. It takes hours to learn all the properties of Flexbox. So we definitely will not be able to check all ones, but let's see this one as well. This is quite nice. As you can see, let's see the icon. To be honest, I don't have time to write the CSS code because otherwise we're gonna end at 2 o'clock. You can see this one in Flex Start. Remember that with justified content, we were spreading the elements like this in my webcam. Well, with align content, we can do the same, but in the vertical axis. So you can start positioning you can play around with your position of the elements quite nice with this property. There is a lot of examples with code, real code. Let me explain before we move to the next topic. Due to time, let me go to this one. You can see on the left column with the purple background are the properties for the parent. And what is the parent? The parent in this example is the one with the green background, and the childs are these items in blue and this one in red. So the properties that affect all the childs equally are the properties that you apply on the parent. And if you want just one single item to, for example, let's say that you want to remember that the order property changed the column reverse changed the order of the items. Imagine that you don't want to change every single item in order, but just one particular item. You can do that by using the order property. Imagine that you don't want all the elements to become equal size. You just want one to take priority. You can use the flex grow property. Shrink make the same, but the opposite. You tell that one element become smaller. Align self. Hey, look, you can make elements stay on the top, and one goes against the current, and one goes only in the end. You can change the order by using align self. To be honest, I never use this property. I don't see why you will use a particular case scenario, but if you for some reason want to design something like this, go ahead, but you're free to go. So yeah, that's the properties for the child. So let's go to the next topic. But before I will check the chat, just 1 second. How to use each section of code, for example, work experience to display in parallel. Okay, that's a nice question that Halema is making me. Is basically how to make it in parallel. By parallel, she means the columns. We just saw the flex property to do it, but I will teach you an even easier way how to do it. So let's go to answer this one right now. Let's go to the next one. And we're gonna see the property called CSS grid. And now let's go to the tutorial to make these columns bigger, make the column layout. So let's start by removing the entire Flexbox. By the way, we're about to finish the part of layouts, and after that we can take a break. We can wrap it up for today. I'm okay with that, unless you want to keep going. So we have these elements. We have the div with the elements. So now we're going to write a new property called, we target the div. Again, I will add a background color just so you can see what is happening behind the scenes.
Can we use section instead of div?
Yeah, you can apply this to any container element. The reason that I'm using div is an example. I know that in the curriculum we use a section, but remember, I actually can change the tag right now. Section. And section here. Yeah, it's the same. So don't worry. You can apply this for any tag for any tag, so it's okay. Now we're using sections. Okay, we're using sections. And now we're going to use the new property called, I think it's called display grid. Perfect. You see a little bit of spacing, but that's not where we care right now. What we're going to care is about, I think it's called a column. Columns. Let me see if this one is the CSS one. No, I think that's not the column one. Just give me 1 second. We are going to Google it. CSS. Just 1 second. CSS grid, column. Perfect. Yeah, the property is called grid column. And then I just can tell them, I think I can tell I can do it like this. I want to explain what is FR, two FR, and one FR. And let's save it and cross the fingers that this is working correctly. No, let me see just 1 second. What is not working? Grid column, one FR. I think it was like that. Let me just delete this one. Section. What is not working? Just give me 1 second. Deep grid and display grid, deep template. Oh, I think it's deep template column. Sorry, the property is template, and it's template columns on FR, and the property is, for example, is repeat. For on FR. There you go. So the property, and let me just add some height so you can see it a little bit better. Height 500 pixels. And let me add a border again to the paragraph so you can see the, let me set up this one by border. Solid 1 pixel block. There you go. So you have this property, the grid template columns. Let me just play around a little bit because I think that it was another way to do it, because I want to grid column, for example. Just give me just 1 second, please. Grid column property. Because I remember that there was another way to do it. I think it was grid column. Auto not 1 FR. No, that doesn't work. Grid column. Grid column property. Okay, well, let's go for this one for now. Template columns for FR, perfect. And this is how you create columns. You want to change it to three columns. Look at what is happening. You tell them use 3 columns. The first 3 elements goes into this order, and the next one that is floating around goes to the next page because there is no more space for another column. If I put it in 2 columns, there you go. And if you just put 1, to be honest, it's basically the same as not having the columns at all, but you can play around. 3, 4, 5 is actually leaving the space for the next tag. Look at what happens when I put a new tag here. And if I put a 6th one, will go below. There you go. Somebody's making a question. Sorry, I hear a noise.
What does it mean, 1FR?
Oh, okay. Nice question. 1FR means the free space. What it means is that these 5 columns are taking the same space. In this case, is the 1FR. I wanted to teach you another method where you can actually write, for example, 1FR, 2FR. 1FR is not working right now. I will research it. Oh, hey, it's working now. Thank you so much. Now I fix it. Okay, now you can understand much better this one. By using this method, and this is the correct way. Now we can go from the beginning. You write display and you change it to grid. Step number 1, you activate the mode by writing display grid. Then you write grid template columns. I was writing grid column before. That's the reason it didn't work. And this is the important part. You can each time that you write a value, remember this. Each time that you repeat a value, it means that you are creating a column with that size. So for example, we can use pixels. So for example, my first column, I want to make it 50 pixels. I want to my next column to take all the space available, the rest of the space available. And what I mean by the rest of the space available is, remember, our first column is taking 50 pixels. And let me delete this one. And this is all my space available right now, where my mouse is moving around. So I want to tell them the next column takes the space available. I want to make a 3-column layout. So I put a third one. And what is happening is it first uses 50 pixels for the first column. And then what we're saying with 1FR is telling is, what it's telling is the next 2 columns will share the available space. If I put 2FR here, what is going to happen is that this column will take more space than this one. You can see it. There you go. What is happening is we are taking this space, but the second column will take double the space than the other one. And this is happening right now. If I add a third column like here, you will see it much better right now. This column is taking the one unit of available space. This one is taking literally 50% of the available space, and these ones and this one are taking 25% each, because this is what is happening. You have here, I will write a comment here. Let me write a comment. We are taking 50 pixels. Let's say that the screen right now, let me write here. Let's say that the screen is 1,000 pixels. I don't know, and to be honest, I don't care, but this is what is happening. When the 50% equal 90, 50% x free space variable. So this is what is happening. If the entire web page is 1,000 pixels, the first column is taking 50%, and the rest, our available space, remember this one, is 950. And what is happening next? What is happening next is, let me open the comment. Now we are starting from 950 px, and we are saying 20%, 50%, and 25% again. So this is the 2% means take the 50%, and this one is 25%, and so on and so forth. Let me see the chat. Lucas is asking, are there tools that will help you as design a web page with all the paragraph buttons without diving into the HTML and CSS? And the answer was the one that I asked a couple of hours ago. It's called Bootstrap. Let me show you this one, Lucas. Mouse here. So if you don't want to delve into this one, you can use Bootstrap. This is the tool that allows you to have this one. Look, this responsive one. You can use Bootstrap to do that. But as I told you, everything has a pros and a cons. Pros of using Bootstrap is faster to get started. If you hate graphic design, don't worry. I don't expect that you fall in love into that. Bootstrap is quite easy. But if you want to do a super personalized design, Bootstrap will be, you will start fighting with Bootstrap. Instead of Bootstrap helping you, you will start fighting with Bootstrap. So that's why it's a little bit, you need to take the pros and cons. So you choose. It's something easier. You want to do something quickly, use Bootstrap. You want to do something super, super, mega, hyper, ultra personalized, go with custom CSS.
Okay.
So, okay, we're gonna watch this one. Because this one takes, this is the advanced CSS grid. I want to show this. I will actually move this one for tomorrow, guys, because I think that you already are super, super tired of having lectures. So I will promise that we'll go back to this one tomorrow. And then we have a choice. We can enter topic number 7, that is styling elements, or we can move that one for tomorrow. So I will ask the, let's make the popular vote. I have no problems staying 1 more hour. So the question will be, option number A, we continue for 1 more hour. Option after a 10 minutes break. Option number B is we continue tomorrow. What do you prefer? Write in the chat. So we, oh no, I actually run a poll. 1 second. I can run a poll so we can make this decision more.
Why not continue after lunch rather than continue at 1 to 2? Question mark.
Okay, I can make the choices and you can vote. So option number 1 is
cool.
Is continue tomorrow. Tomorrow. What? This is tomorrow. Option number 2 is continue in 10 minutes. Let me see, safe. Launch pool. I think that you can see on your screens the booting one. So yeah, let's see what is happening. We need to reach 100%, guys. So, oh, but sorry, I'm so sorry. I think that you are not seeing how the pool is going. Okay. Oh no, wait. Actually, it's better that you don't see it. So you don't get so you don't get persuaded by the popular choice. You need to have your own personality and choose on your own. So we are 78%, 83%, 86, 89. Ernestus, by the way, don't vote twice. So leave it that. I think we're gonna end in 97%. So yeah, based on the popular vote, we gonna continue from 1 to 2, guys. So let's gonna take a break, have a nice lunch, and we continue at 1. I like the voting thingy. We're gonna use this one during the rest of the course. It's okay, guys. No more for me. See you at 1.
Bye. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.